Rob Pelinka has burnt this organization to the ground. I know that seems very harsh, but I do believe it is fair. Because what the Los Angeles Lakers have done in this offseason has been absolutely terrible. Absolutely awful. The trades they've made, terrible. The sign and trade for Walker Kessler, one of the worst trades that I have seen, and then immediately gets outdone by the Jaylen Brown trade. And the signings, they don't make sense, right? Everything that involves being a part of the front office, GMing, he has failed at this offseason. It has been terrible. He has burnt an organization to the ground, and I really want to give my thoughts on it, right? Because especially with the Los Angeles Lakers, all the moves that they make are amplified. Everything they do is heightened. And, with that, with LeBron James leaving, right, and saying, I'm not going to sign back to play for you again, that leaves you a ton of money available. And it sucks, sure, that you have money in a weak free agency, but also, you don't have to spend it like this. You do have to spend a certain amount of money, yes, but you don't have to give out some of these contracts. Some of this is just bad. And, they opened up free agency yesterday, going and getting Walker Kessler on a sign and trade, right? And if you think of a sign and trade, it's usually second round pick and a player they don't want, right? Usually sign and trades aren't for, a ton of assets. Not this one. Walker Kessler was traded in a sign and trade to the Los Angeles Lakers in exchange for 2 unprotected first round picks in 2031 and 2033 and first round pick swaps in 2028 and 2030. Yes, 4 first round picks for Walker Kessler. And they doubled down on it, which you kind of have to after you already, trade all that, right? You kind of, have to give Walker Kessler a large contract, and they do so, giving him a 4-year, $130 million deal. Which, a lot of the discourse around, this move, I believe, is the accurate assessment, right? Walker Kessler, perfectly fine player. But for this much money, it's a lot. And for this much draft capital, right? That is the big talking point here. Because now you have handicapped yourself to where you can no longer trade a draft pick until I believe it is 2030. I think 2035 is when you can trade your pick the earliest that isn't on draft night. That you no longer have picks. You cannot trade your picks. And you do that for Walker Kessler. I understand it if it was for, Giannis. I would even understand if it was for, if you're selling yourself on the idea of, Jalen Duren. I understand that. Although not for Jalen Duren, honestly. But I understand that, you need a center and that you cannot have DeAndre Ayton on the roster. But you give that all up for a guy who played 5 games last year. You don't know if he's going to be healthy. And even when he is, sure, he's a double-double, but you're giving up all that flexibility for someone who's barely a top 10 center in the league. He's probably closer to being outside of that than he is being inside of the top 10. I would have been perfectly fine if you would have given up a first-round pick and if you had a second-round pick and DeAndre Ayton for Daniel Gafford. You don't need great center play with Luka Doncic. He made the finals with Derek Lively and, again, Daniel Gafford. You don't need great center play, and you're still not getting great center play. You're just getting okay center play. And you're giving up all of your flexibility with draft capital. You give that up, and then not only do you have this terrible move, but you then go and you spend money on things that just don't make sense. Sandro Mamukelashvili, that's cool, right? 4 years, 52, about what you could expect for him to get. Quentin Grimes, 4 years, 60, again, what you could expect for him to get. And then Collin Sexton, 2 years, 19, again, about what you could expect for him to get on the open market. But the problem is that now your starting small forward for next year is Jake LaRavia. You don't have a forward. I mean, your center group now is DeAndre Ayton, who picked up his player option. He's going to be a backup. Walker Kessler. And are you putting Sandro Mamukelashvili at your power forward? Who is your small forward? Luka? Like, Luka Doncic at your small forward does not work because when you do that, you're going to have a guard who likely won't be a great defender. And if that's the case, the guard you're putting out there, Quentin Grimes, he's an okay defender, but he's not Marcus Smart. You have no defense. You have barely any size. You have barely any players who can fit next to Luka. And like Collin Sexton, fine guard, cannot play defense. Right? Quentin Grimes, perfectly fine guard, suited as a bench option, but for $15 million, I would have preferred you put that money back in to go get Luke Kennard and Marcus Smart instead of going for Quentin Grimes. I mean, this offseason sucks. Like, this is the offseason that is fireable, in my opinion. This is an offseason where if I'm Luka Doncic, I'm not coming back to this team. I'm going to be a free agent in 2028. Like, what is this? What is this team? You let LeBron, like, you don't make LeBron a priority and he leaves. Okay, I think that's a good decision overall because now you have flexibility in this offseason. I don't mind Sandro Mamukelashvili. I think that's a fine signing. That is the only signing that I'm perfectly cool with. But then Quentin Grimes and Collin Sexton, you are giving, like, you're giving $22 million in excess to guards. You have no forwards. None that I feel confident in. You are banking so heavily in the development of Adu Thiero, which it's like, if that's what you're looking for in a win-now window, wrap it up. It's over. Because what is this? You gave up all of your draft capital flexibility for a center who played 5 games last year, is borderline top 10 at his position. Sure, he fits well with Luka Doncic, but if he plays even like 42 games, it's not worth it. And then your other like backup plan, Sandro Mamukelashvili, that's fine as like, your worst starter. Not someone who might be an upper tier starter because your center's missing games. Like Austin Reeves, I'm not super comfortable with him being a second option in a playoff setting based on the way he's played in the playoffs. So really what you've got here is Luka Doncic by himself with a second option who knows what he can be in the playoffs. Historically speaking, it has been bad. Your like small forward, awful. Your power forward, so like is someone who you'd be comfortable if he was your worst starter, not someone who might be an upper tier starter for you. And then your center, I'm not confident in him in a playoff setting, and really all he is a shot blocker and a stereotypical big man, which, fine, that works for Luka, but you gave up all of your, like, trade flexibility for him. Like, what do you have? If you said to me that lineup, outside of Luka Doncic, I would have thought play-in team on an up-and-coming, I would have thought the Chicago Bulls. That's what I would have expected. Like a mid-team who is going to be like the 10 seed at best. Not a team that has serious aspirations of winning a championship. And no disrespect to Austin Reeves, but this is a big bargain, or this is a big gamble to put on his part, and you're betting so heavily on him to where now your offense, sure, it's going to be pretty nice, but your defense sucks. I don't get what Rob Pelinka is thinking here, where you are paying Walker Kessler $130 million, Sandro Mamukelashvili $52 million, and Quentin Grimes $60 million. Like, Sandro Mamukelashvili, Collin Sexton, and Quentin Grimes, you are paying them $130 million, and then you are paying Walker Kessler $130 million. You're spending close to $250 million on like role players, and you're kind of overpaying for them because I would have preferred, in all honesty, Kelly Oubre, go pick him up instead of Collin Sexton, right? That's a much better signing. Anthony Simons would have been a better signing than Quentin Grimes for a much cheaper deal. So you can go pick up Rui Hachimura. Then you can go pick up the Marcus Smart. You can go pick up Luke Kennard. All of that money, you can keep most of this team intact, and it works. Because even if you traded all of that for Walker Kessler, I think you're in a better position if you didn't overspend because you finally had some money at your disposal and you just threw it out to anyone who would be willing to listen. Like, this is a terrible offseason, and you are wasting the primes of one of the best offensive players that I've ever seen in my life. And you are, instead of surrounding him with talent that works around his skill set, you are giving him nothing that fits with him. It's just sad. It's sad seeing this. And it's unfortunate. I need to go chill out because that was a pretty heated rant. But if you want to see more content like that, make sure to go ahead and like, subscribe. It's absolutely crucial to the channel. We are on the hunt for 75 subscribers. Once again, this is A Scoop with Coop, and until next time, so long, everybody.